The Entrepreneurs, brought to you by First National Bank.
Neither Marcel Joubert nor Moira O'Reilly, the entrepreneurs behind the Platinum Group, a fashion group which owns the Hilton Weiner, Jenni, Vertigo and Joubert brands, have a design background. But then, says Joubert, neither did Giorgio Armani. In fact, he studied medicine. So for them, where did it all begin and what enabled these two people to take on the fashion industry in South Africa and turn it on its head?
It started in 1983 when I started making T-shirts to pay my way through university, and I borrowed a friend, Peter Frampton's Honda Bobcat motorbike and rucksack and drove around Woodstock getting T-shirts, which I then sold to all the students, and that's how we really got our teeth into the rag trade. And after varsity I met Moira and we opened up the first Vertigo stores.
It was essentially a surf and skate label sold to the youth, and when we opened our first shop, it was actually as a result of a cancelled Edgar's order. And we vowed we'd never supply a chain store ever again, and we went into retail, and I became a shopkeeper selling Vertigo T-shirts to the student market, which we knew very well, and I think that's where it was very successful. It was a runaway success, and we opened the second shop in Gardens, and we were really all set on expanding our Vertigo brand. That was our passion. When the Hilton Weiner opportunity came up in 1995.
It was through this opportunity that they began to earn their reputation as a turnaround facility for the clothing industry. The Hilton Weiner shops opened in the late 80s in Cape Town. Weiner in turn sold out to Burgers, which then fell on hard times, and the Hilton Weiner shops, a 16-store operation, were up for grabs.
We acquired the business, put a lot of elbow grease into it, and turned it around very quickly. And that in turn laid the foundation for Jenni and Joubert, which followed 2 years later.
And this was where another huge decision had to be taken, whether or no to integrate Vertigo with Hilton Weiner. In terms of brand architecture, this would mean operating as a branded house where there is just one identity, such as IBM or Shell, efficient but inflexible. The alternative? Go to the other end of the spectrum, operate as a house of brands and run a portfolio of brands with their own customers and markets, suiting the entrepreneurial spirit. And, adds Andy Rice, a branding specialist, well suited to the psyche of the fashion industry.
In fashion, where it is all about expressing your individuality, it's a very self-expressive category. The likelihood is that you want to go much more along the route of individual brands standing on their own 2 feet, the house of brands route, in order to allow people to use fashion labels to express their individuality.
I think that's the trick as we grow, and we are growing, we've grown rapidly, is to try and keep that buzz, that entrepreneurial essence in the business. And we've done that purposely by splitting the brands up. They're all separate companies, small driven teams, a lot of ownership, and that's what keeps the excitement and the buzz.
And both O'Reilly and Joubert believe that having a background of psychology and marketing other than fashion alone has been a tremendous help.
We actually believe that that's an advantage because we're not trapped in a fashion mindset. We consider ourselves as social anthropologists, and we're studying human behavior. We've got a very strong sense of what we're about and what we stand for. The culture is a large part of it. Moira's famously said on more than one occasion that we're in the people business as much, if not more, than what we're in the clothing business. And understanding that culture and driving that culture, that's what drives everything else. If we get that right, then everybody in our teams, the teamwork, the possibilities, the perspectives, the enthusiasm all flows from the culture.
And no matter how big the organization has become and how much money is involved, the culture, say the partners, has remained true to the aspects of the original entrepreneurial spirit.
One of them is, as an entrepreneur, the thrill of finding an angle and exploiting it. That is a major driving force. And perhaps even stronger than that is the satisfaction of building something. Lawrence van der Post says man has a need to build. And we relate to that. We're not strippers of things, we're builders of things. And the satisfaction of taking something that's run down, turning it around, building it up again, the satisfaction of finding an angle, starting something from nothing, building it up, that's tremendously satisfying.
For the customer, who slowly is beginning to offer loyalty to companies that may walk a more ethical path than others, knowing that the company behind the brand of their choice has good intentions is becoming more important.
There's a view that the evolution of consumers' attitudes to brands has gone from the rational approach of, say, the 1960s, the Procter & Gamble, this washes whiter type approach, very rational, to the emotional evaluation of a brand because the functionalities all became very similar. Now the feeling is that there is a third wave of evolution into an ethical or almost spiritual differentiation of brands, where people are saying the rationality has given way to the emotional differentiation and is now about the ethical differentiation, the brand spirit. And that's where the corporate values behind the brand play a role.
For a group that has grown from flea market stalls to owning 57 stores in a matter of 6 years, starting capital of zero and a turnover this year of around 200 million rands, the growth it has experienced is phenomenal by any account. Just how sustainable is this?
We don't want to sustain that rate of growth. We're looking for a different type of growth currently, which is to optimize and find opportunity within the existing business.
Improving our product, getting close to the customer, all those things, and there's still so much potential. We've had so many offers to go offshore. You know, how about a franchise here, open up a store there, and we're holding that off at the moment because I think it's the right thing to do is get our base solid here, increase our supply base, all those lines of supply before we can actually, you know, tackle the rest of the world.
Facing a variety of challenges on a daily basis, Joubert and O'Reilly have become accustomed to people telling them that they are heading in the wrong direction. They believe that a concrete belief in oneself, perseverance and a sense of adventure is vital to keep business buzzing. There is another factor.
It's looking at things differently and making a habit of that and changing your perspective so that you see things differently and you see what other people are missing. And by doing that, you can do something different. And that's really finding the gap. Continue to deliver the goods. Another important thing is to protect the downside in everything you do, because part of being entrepreneurial is to take risks. And if you fail in an endeavor, it mustn't be catastrophic or fatal. So in everything that you're doing, to protect the downside.
One major stumbling block in their view is the difficulty that responsible entrepreneurs face in raising capital, and the other is the skills shortage. But South Africa remains their home, and they are here to stay.
We're pretty much rooted here. We could have upped and left with a lot of people that we knew, a lot of friends, when they finished studying and had families. They left the country, and we saw the opportunity here. I mean, I think that's the exciting thing about this country. For us, and that's probably part of being an entrepreneur, is seeing the gap. I mean, why go overseas to the UK or Australia or whatever, where the market's saturated already? That's the exciting thing. We can offer so much here and make a contribution.
We're very committed to this country. Out of our contemporaries, those who were at varsity with us, out of our circle of, call it 30 friends, there may only be 2 or 3 who are left in this country. Some of them, ironically, are coming back now. But we've been very committed from the beginning, and we've got no intention of going anywhere else. And it's been very gratifying to see in the last few years, particularly, to see South Africa opening up, a confidence coming through, an entrepreneurial culture that's thriving, opportunities abound, and a lot of people are finding overseas that it's not the El Dorado that they thought it was.
And given the chance, would they do this again?
Definitely.
Absolutely, no question.
That's in the blood.
The Entrepreneurs.